Try that again. Good evening, everyone. It's Pastor Anthony here, Daily Excellence. Thank you guys so much for being on the channel. And let me mute this down real quick. All right, let me know for starters if you guys can hear me, if I'm coming in loud and clear over on your speakers there. And I'm only asking because we got a new audio system put in our computer a couple days ago. So I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Before I take off here, because we have a lot to discuss this evening, if you didn't catch the title is Lockdowns 2.0 Coming? That's what we're going to discuss this evening. Are they coming? Maybe not in the way that you thought. Carol Shaw, thank you so much, saying they can hear me. CPF 036 giving us the 5x5. Thank you, Des. Good to have you guys on tonight. Rattling Bones from Idaho. We got, I think it's Patty Templeton, 646, good on with us. Mary from South Africa, Texas girl, good evening. Kay Cindy saying sounds great. Thank you guys for doing that audio check for me. Got about 7 of you over on Rumble right now. A couple of you watching us via X. So thank you guys for being here tonight. So yeah, we're going to get into this subject tonight. Are lockdowns on the way back? This is an opinion piece, okay? So I'm not saying that they are coming, but there is a chance. We're going to look at an article that came from End Times Headlines and connect that opinion article with what happened today down in Port Arthur, Texas, because we had a refinery explosion. And it was sketchy at best because there's some evidence out there that refinery explosion may not have been human error. It was human caused, but it's possible that it could have been something that was done from maybe a different country. Okay, so we're going to get into some of that. Also, we'll look at some other things going on around the globe here in this episode. And so thank you guys so much for being here. It is Tuesday evening, March 24th. We're a little after 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here in mid-Michigan. So thank you guys for being here. Please do me the favor of liking, sharing, give us that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy our content. We are going to be back here in just a moment. But first, we are going to have a quick word from our sponsor, EMP Shield, and we shall be right back.
With over 37 models that can be used around the world, our family of EMP protection devices installs easily in minutes. Being employed this year by federal organizations and electrical companies, the EMP Shield has been tested at Keystone Compliance, a federally approved DoD testing facility. Also serving as one of the world's fastest whole home surge protection devices, working in less than 1 nanosecond, the EMP Shield will protect against electromagnetic pulses, coronal mass ejections, lightning, and all forms of power surges. Proven to withstand more than 40 EMP strikes with zero degradation, the EMP Shield is also one of the world's strongest surge protectors, capable of withstanding over 100,000 amps.
All right, that is EMP Shield. Use promo code DAILY to get $50 off of your device. That's correct, $50 off of your device. If you go to www.empshield.com, you can use the promo code DAILY to get your device to protect your home, your boat, anything that you have that's electronic that you want to protect from electromagnetic pulses, whether it comes from the sun, from lightning, or any type of nefarious weapon from other countries. This will protect your belongings. And so you can get that at empshield.com. Best discount on YouTube. Save $50 off of your device. And of course, when you do that, you support us here at Daily Excellence. So thank you guys for doing that. John Van Belt, good to have you on tonight. One of our moderators. Thank you so much. We got Holly Doris 7761 with us tonight. Art Gray 7616. Glenda Jones with us this evening. So thank you so much. Let's see. Art Gray says, have EMP Shield for the house. So they've already set up. Awesome. And from what I understand, it is not hard to install. It is a pretty easy install from what I understand. So Many of our subscribers have picked that up, and they said they were able to install pretty quickly. So, all right, let's get into our topic this evening. And our topic comes at this: Lockdowns 2.0 coming. And that is the question this evening. Of course, please remember that I'm not saying that a lockdown is coming, but I am giving you some evidence that may shine some light on the fact that we could be facing some emergency lockdowns, not so much due to pestilence or disease or any type of viruses, but due to potentially a lack of resources and energy coming our way due to some of the conflicts coming out of Iran. Now, we've had some mixed messages today coming out of Iran, because at first it looked like there was great negotiations going on between the Trump campaign and those in Iran, and the next thing you know, we've got a barrage of ballistic missiles being shot everywhere. So, looks like one way, it's going the other. And so let's take a look at what is going on in this article that we're going to be discussing. Give me just a second so I can set this up for everybody. Here we go. All right, so remember, this is an opinion piece, but it says the quiet release of emergency energy playbook has sparked global concerns, excuse me, with some warning to get ready for lockdown 2.0 if fuel shortages worsen. The guidance comes from the International Energy. The guidance comes from the International Energy Agency, or the IEA, which last week released its report sheltering from oil stocks, outlining 10 steps countries could take if supplies tighten. The report was issued in response to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, which has all but choked off traffic through the Straits of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical oil routes, triggering fears of prolonged shortages and soaring fuel prices. Oh, sorry about that. Let's see. Among the recommendations are expanded remote work where possible, reducing highway speeds, and cutting back on air travel to limit strain on global supplies. The IEA also suggested shifting travel from private cars to public transportation and restricting vehicle access in major cities on alternating days based on license plates. It further proposed increasing carpooling, adopting fuel-efficient drive practices, and diverting liquefied petroleum gas away from vehicles to preserve supplies for essential users. Several of the measures, if adopted, require sweeping changes to daily routines, particularly in major cities heavily dependent on private vehicles and air travels. While the watchdog says the steps are intended to help countries stretch limited supplies, stabilize markets, and shield households from the worst effect, the 10 measures have sparked fury online. Many social media users linked the report to COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020, with some writing, "We are not doing this again." And so, of course, you can go over to endtimesheadlines.org, and you can click the read section. That will read more section. It goes in a little bit further depth on what's of course, that this article is an opinion piece and a branch off from the dailymail.com. And so Des5229 says Vietnam announced a significant scale back on domestic air travel today, and then the Philippines have declared an emergency, or an energy emergency as well. So, let's see. Got to ask a question: is this a Trump supporter channel? If so, I am out. We try to stay neutral when it comes to politics and the conversation of politics altogether on this channel. So I don't know if that really helps you stick around or take off, but whatever you choose to do, may the Lord bless you there. See, Mary Rose says, "I won't comply." Yep. So, and there is some validity to this. And I'm going to tell you why, because when we looked at some of the, matter of fact, last Tuesday when we were on, I told you guys that we have been seeing some sporadic activity around the country with weird things taking place, especially when it take a look at what was going on in Texas along the border down around Brownsville, where the oil refineries had caught on fire. Well, now the same thing has happened again today, except further up the coast in southeastern Texas, about 90 miles outside of Houston, going toward Louisiana border, in the town of Port Arthur, Texas. And let me see if I can pull that up real quick here. Go over to X and see if we can pull that up real quick for you guys. And so this is some of the imagery that's coming out. And this happened today, okay? And it says this facility processes roughly 395,000 barrels of crude oil per day, making it a crucial piece of American fuel supply chain. This is the nation's 8th largest oil refinery here in North America. And of course, Port Arthur, which is located in Texas, sits along the Gulf Coast refining corridor that handles a lot of these things. And so Des 5229 says in 1973, during the height of the Saudi oil embargo, you can only get gas on days if you had odd days to fill gas, and even days on even numbers. So yeah, and we could return to that possibly. Texas girl says, I remember the 1970s energy crisis. Everyone had tiny cars. So we look at this report. Now, this was shared earlier today from Dabu. I don't know if some of you guys may know his channel over there, but he had posted this earlier. It says, a Saudi X account reportedly posted a specific threat targeting the Motiva refinery in Port Arthur just an hour before the explosion at the nearby Valera facility in the same city. What's even more alarming is the account immediately deleted the post along with all of its 4,739 previous tweets. And so, and of course, they have a picture there of the person who allegedly put out the tweet there just an hour before the incident there at the Valero refinery in the Port Arthur area. So I only mention this because, like I said, we had a problem last week in Texas around Brownsville area. It was not publicized. Nobody talked about it. And here we go again. This time around, they are talking a little bit more about it. CBS News has covered it. Some of the other stations around have covered it, but it's not getting a whole lot of coverage. And so here's an aerial view of a TikTok video coming from this individual. And of course, you see the aerial view of the explosion there. Some people are stating that they think that this was an attack. According to Silver Trade, massive fire at the 8th largest U.S. refinery in Port Arthur. The IRGC claims responsibly says it sabotaged a Valero refinery after massive explosion rocks the Port Arthur facility. Now, this is unverified. It is important that we say that we put that out there, that this is an unverified claim. But this particular post is claiming that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is claiming responsibility for this. Like I said, this is an unsubstantiated claim. We cannot verify that at all here on this channel. And so, I don't know, of course, you can see if you just type in the words Port Arthur, all of this stuff is going to come up. You can, if you have an X account, you can check all of these things out. The U.S. starts attacking. So the U.S. starts attacking Iran's energy assets, and then a major refinery in Texas blows up. But sure, it's all pretend. That's random. So depends on what you want to believe and what you want to think. I personally think it is probably part of the attacks we knew that were going to come, in my personal opinion. This person says that they find it hard to believe that within hours of POTUS declaring no attacks on Iranian oil, and the IRGC claimed that no talks are being held, a massive fire erupts at a refinery in Port Arthur. So kind of hard, kind of hard to really say it was a coincidence. because I don't think it was. Okay. Ventura News also reporting this. Major powerful explosion erupted. Powerful explosion and fire erupted Monday evening at a Valero Energy major Port Arthur, Texas refinery, likely originating in a diesel hydrotreater unit. Thick black smoke billowing for miles. Of course, there was a shelter in place there for 12 hours. Fortunately, there appears to have been no injuries. So, yeah. But anyway, there's a lot of this. You can see this kind of everywhere, all over the place. This person's saying, is it a missile attack or an Iranian attack? Lives in Texas. Not about that. We can't confirm that. Yeah, Patty Templeton 646 says, I live outside of Houston, and I believe it's not a coincidence. Yeah, and then, like I said, this happened last week too because I reported on this. I think I was one of the few channels, if not the only channel, that actually reported that there was an incident in South Texas, but it was hard to get the footage of it. So, matter of fact, now that this has come out, I'm going to see if I can pull footage from the refinery in Brownsville last week, just to see if we can get that real quick. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Give me just a second here. That's not showing the right one. See if I can find these. Just a second. See if we can find it from the one in Brownsville. That was out. It wasn't. I don't think it was exactly in Brownsville, but it was around that area. Of course, Tucker Carlson's talking about this now too, about what took place. And I'm just trying to see if we can find what took place because we had one on the border of Mexico, and they claimed that it was a drone that came across the border in Mexico and hit one of the refineries on the Gulf Coast last week, is what the claim I had put out to be. So now this one here was in, no, that was last year's. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not finding anything from that refinery from last week. Give me just a second here, guys. I know I'm trying to find it for you so I can substantiate the claim there. Mm-hmm. Give me just a second. Let's see. Nadine Hope 3230 says, do people know Canada has zero oil reserve and no oil refineries? We have to sell it cheap to the US and buy gas back for the country's usage. Where did this happen? It happened in Port Arthur today, which is right on the upper Texas coast. About 80, what? It's actually about 88 miles from Houston, maybe about 20 miles from the Louisiana border there. Yes, there's been some concern drone strikes from the cartels from Mexico, highly probable. Yeah, I'm trying to find it because there was some footage and then on X, and then it's like gone. Let's see if it pops up here. Yeah, right now, anytime if you just even type in anything about Texas, it just pops up. The refinery there in Port Arthur. It's okay. Here we go. I found it. I'm gonna show you guys. So this one was last week on the 13th, and this is the one we reported on. Okay, and of course we cannot verify this, but U.S. says that an Iranian IRGC backed Mexican narco. We can't use that word here on YouTube. Carried out an attack on the LaPorte near Pasadena, Texas, United States. Reports of 2 fuel tankers are on fire. So this is at one of the plants that was down there outside of LaPorte. So this was not Brownsville. I'm sorry. This is actually closer to Houston. Because if you go to LaPorte near Pasadena, I think it's just on the northeast side of Houston. So this was last week on March 13th, and this is what I reported on here on the channel. Nobody else talked about this. No one was talking about it. Now everybody's talking about the one today out of Port Arthur, Texas. But this has been happening, and so I share all that to say that the idea of there being some kind of an energy shortage, maybe potential lockdowns due to lack of oil, there is a possibility of that because we're seeing our refineries are being hit here in the U.S., which will, I know the United States likes to brag about the oil coming from Venezuela, which is actually coming into the Texas ports. Problem is, though, if our refineries are getting hit, or if our refineries are being damaged or being messed with, um, that could potentially cause there to be a backlog of oil not being processed, not being turned into jet fuel, not being turned into gas for cars or gas going into Canada. Somebody said. Patty Templeton of 646 said, yes, that's in my backyard, 12 miles from me. So you may know this then if it's in your area that you guys had an issue with one of your refineries last week on March 13th. So if you remember that, if you heard about that in the area, we'd love for you to validate that since you live within the vicinity of 12 miles of that refinery. If you remember anything on the 13th, because this is what was coming across on X, and I reported on this last week that this was happening. And so we got this potentially last week. We for sure have the one in Port Arthur today. Of course, Trump came out over the weekend about the hard red line uh, that if Iran didn't meet, or what was it, that Iran didn't stop doing what they were doing, but start letting ships go through the canal over there, that they were going to destroy their power grids and what infrastructure they had left. I don't think that's actually happened yet, but there are reports. There is reports, though, that there are military planes that are heading in that direction now. So we'll see what happens soon with that. So, Shelly, good to have you. Thank you for watching us from Ontario. We definitely appreciate our Canadian friends joining us. Don't live too far from you guys. So thank you for being here. Donna Jasmine 4514 says it sure is Patty praying for us all. Patty stating that it is serious. It is getting serious. And I think there's a lot of things that are taking place on U.S. soil that are not being reported. And of course, you have airport delays mounting as DSA agents are not getting paid. All that's being shut down, which does play a part in some of the energy crisis, believe it or not, because you have to have airplanes and you have to have things being able to move to different places across the country, and air traffic does play a part in that. So you have that to contend with. And so anything is possible, and they may try to use that to keep us in our homes. So, the idea of this taking place, our lockdown 2.0 coming due to an energy crisis. You may have to work from home if you have the ability to work from home to, not use oil or not to use gas because nothing's coming in. And I do remember, Mike from Council of Time talked about this a while back, that the Lord had showed him a vision of like people's yards being overgrown because gas prices were so high, hitting that 8 to 10 gallon mark, and people still had power in their homes. People still had money, but the grass was overgrown. No one could cut their grass because there was no gas usable to be put in lawnmowers. And this was a vision he had. I want to say it was about a year ago. Mike from Council Time talked about this. Maybe some of you who follow COT on here probably remember Mike talking about that. So let's see. Nadine, oh, you're from Alberta. Good to have you here. I knew you were from Canada, but I didn't know you were from Alberta, so that's pretty cool. Des is saying now that 5 Asian countries have announced rotating 4-day work week, remote work from home, and petrol station shut down. So, and it could be one of those things. It could be a repeat of the 1970s. I wasn't alive in the early 1970s. I remember hearing stories about it taking place during that time. So, Sunflower said yes, he did. Donna Jasmine also saying yes, he did. So you guys remember hearing that. Rattle and Bones also saying yes. I hear Mike say that. So thank you guys. Yep. Nadine Hope, remember Mike saying that. He says, I remember Mike saying we'll have money, but the store will be empty. Yep. Let's see. I don't know how to pronounce your Androcone. I hope I didn't mess your name up. But he says I'm a truck driver and fuel is starting to get scarce. Yeah, so it's happening. I know oil gas prices are just going bonkers right now, all over the place with gas prices hitting highs again. And so it's just a weird time. So. And so say Mike did just say that too. So he may have brought it up in a recent interview. So I know we haven't been able to process the one he just came through yet. So he may have just said it. Heading towards a tribulational period? I don't think so. Not yet. In my personal opinion, I think these are all part of the days of sorrows for sure that we're facing. Shortages, disruptions, and things like that. And I'm not saying this is going to last forever by any means. But the powers that be will probably use this towards their advantage, and this is why we see, uh, in my personal opinion, with all of this taking place, they're gonna bring about a distraction, and that distraction will be the disclosure, which we all know. We know what that's about. I plan on bringing L.A. Marzulli on the channel here pretty soon to discuss the pending disclosures, because that is on the way. We're getting very close to having some sort of an announcement about those disclosures, and they're going to need a distraction uh, with everything that has taken place. So, okay, the second recon force. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know, though. So, all right, Grace, good to have you on. Thank you, thank you. What? How about the economic reset? I think we're in it. That's happening now, especially if this thing turns out into World War III, and you just simply look at history. Like, we don't even have to talk about politics here. We can just look at the history. World War One, we had a global reset, followed quickly by World War II, global reset. So every time there's a global war, there is a reset that takes place. And so if we have a World War III, of course, there will be another reset, and a new dominant country will take over, and will follow under that monetary reset. Now, the interesting thing about this, what makes this go around a little bit different than World War One, World War II, isn't so much that all the countries getting involved in it, especially when it comes to the area of resources and faith war, things like that. But the question is who would be next to take over? Like, who would rise up? Because every major country in the world is in severe debt. United States is edging close to $40 trillion in debt. Japan's in debt. China is in debt. Russia's in debt. Everybody's in debt. So who's going to rise up? That's the question. Nobody's actually in a economical position to rise up and be that new powerhouse of global dominance like the United States was back in World War II. That's when the United States really took over. Before then, it was kind of, the United Kingdom was running things during that time because they helped broker the United Nations and some of the things that went on in Israel in 1948. And so I don't think China's got some serious economical issues going on over there as well. They're on the brink of default themselves. So generally, a country who's facing default is not going to rise up. So it kind of leaves a question mark. Who would be next? You know, um, Belinda says it's all about the digital dollars. That does open the door for digital currency and to kind of set everybody, the whole world at zero. But the question would be then who's going to control that global currency? Who's going to control the digital dollars? Because every country is going to want to kind of, have that control. That could bring out another argument, another war, so to speak. But I got a feeling that would potentially be worked out during this particular scrimmage that's going on across the world right now. So in my personal opinion, all these things could lead to a one world government, could lead to somebody who's going to rise up and have answers to all these questions. Remember, when the man of perdition arrives, or who we know as the Antichrist, the world is going to be in a state of chaos, and people are going to be looking for answers. And we're definitely reaching that chaotic moment as we seeing this supply disruptions. We're seeing global catastrophes. We're seeing country after country getting involved in this war. It could lead to Ezekiel 38, 39. Of course, I mentioned last week that Ezekiel 38, 39. Um, you know, I don't think that we're at that point yet, because that's the war that we will see the United States, or we will see Israel be trampled underfoot. And for that to happen, the United States cannot have any involvement. However, I do find it very interesting, having taken a look at that since last Tuesday, that Israel is getting hammered with some of these missiles that are coming through, because Iran has figured out a way to breach the Iron Dome. So Israel's been taking some hits. The Iron Dome has had a couple close calls, which I've told you guys to watch that, because it will not surprise me at all if the Iron Dome, we wake up one morning, Iron Dome is gone, because the Iranians have taken it out, or maybe somebody takes this opportunity and takes it out and blames the Iranians. Okay, there's that potential as well. I'm just putting hypotheses out there, putting out some theories. Okay, I'm not saying that any of these things are going to happen. I have no proof that any of these things are happening. It's just you can kind of see the writing on the wall of how these things could potentially take place. So you have that area, but I find it very interesting that even with U.S. involvement, Israel is having some issues. So, is it possible that when we look at Ezekiel 38, 39, and we see Israel being trampled upon foot, especially in the northern areas, because that's where this prophecy hones in at, maybe the United States is there? For many years, for decades, many theologians have theorized that the United States would not be there because we're dealing with our own issue. But is it possible that we are there, but the enemy has figured out how to get in and do what they need to do with our involvement in place? Maybe we are there, but our tactic doesn't work. Very possible. Okay, very possible. So it is definitely worth looking into and keeping an eye on. I think we are heading into that direction. So these are just thoughts that are processing in my mind. Just, things that we look into as we march forward into this thing. And it's also very possible, we can wake up in a couple of days and all of a sudden somebody has brokered a peace deal and we leave Iran. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is very possible. But Iran is such a pivotal moment in end times prophecy, because Iran pops up in the end times prophecy as being one who will attack Israel. And what we're seeing is an end times event. So I don't think that we're going to see things just calm down in Iran. And I don't think there's going to be a successful change in the guard over there either, in my personal opinion. But you never know. And so a lot taking place over there. Let's see what else is going on in the world today as we keep an eye on what's going on there. Let's see. Patty said, "What happens to the United States to not stand with Israel in the future?" I mean, there's a lot of scenarios that can happen for the United States to be taken out. When we get attacked here, we just found out the other day that Iran has missiles that are portable that can reach over 2,500 miles. We just saw that as they try to take out a what was it, Diego Garcia Air Force Base there in the Indian Ocean. They got very close to it. This missile just dropped right outside their waters there, and that was over 2,500 miles that missile went, and it was on a portable launcher. So that means these things could be moving around all over Iran. And so it does beg the question, what kind of technology do they have that we're not aware of? Because we didn't think they had that, and they did. So we could be looking for attacks coming that way. Of course, we have the millions of people that were let in across our borders over the last several years. You can have a coordinated effort by those people. Then you have internal conflicts, with what's going on against our own GOP, with Republicans and Democrats going against each other, with things going on in Washington, leading to civil unrest and potential civil war here in the United States. There's that things, or simply we just deplete ourselves. That's what the Romans did in the Roman Empire. They were involved in too many places, and they just simply ran out of money and depleted themselves. And we could very well do that here in the United States as well, implode the inside out, because we're involved in too many places, doing too much stuff, and we just run out of resources and money, and we just become a non-threat to the global community, and so everyone else kind of starts doing whatever they want to do, and the only thing we get is just kind of like Italy or like Greece. We may get a voice in the United Nations, but then nobody really cares what you have to say. Okay, you may become one of those countries. Doesn't necessarily mean that life doesn't move on here. We just don't have a voice anymore. So those are several scenarios that could take place in the United States for sure. I mean, hopefully not. I don't mean to sound like I'm unpatriotic or I want bad things to happen, because I don't. But we don't want that for sure. So another fire today in Rome, Georgia. A historic courthouse was set ablaze there. That happened today as well. Breaking news: Iran tells Trump, "We have special plans for you tonight." So let's take a look at what that article has to say, because I did not see that. Here we go. Iran tells Trump, "We have special plans for you tonight." This article came out last night. So Iran has ominously warned Donald Trump that it has special plans for him and the U.S. allies in the Gulf after an American president threatened to attack the nation's power plants. A source told the state-run FAR news agency tonight special events are planned for Tel Aviv and some regional allies of the U.S. and Israel that will completely remove the hope of negotiations from the mind of the aggressors. The threat came following Trump's suggestion that the Strait of Hormuz could be jointly ran by himself, and that the Ayatollah and that the Ayatollah, when it fully reopens to the world, following talks to end the war. President also claimed Tehran may agree to giving up its nuclear ambitions in any deal to put an end to the conflict in his first remarks since announcing a halt on airstrikes to Iran's energy infrastructure earlier today. Trump said if upcoming talks go well, the war could end within a week, before later adding, "Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out. But Iranian officials told Fars that even if the rolling war ended, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz will not return to the pre-war situation. Meanwhile, Iranian state television has boasted Trump's backed down in the war over fears of Iran's response to blowing up the country's power plants. On Saturday, Trump issued a 48-hour ultimatum demanding Iran reopen the partly closed Strait of Hormuz or face new strikes on key energy sites. So, yeah. So basically, Trump came out and already said this earlier today. Trump came out. He said, "Hey, if you guys don't open it up for everybody, we're going to come in. We're going to take everything out. We're going to take out your power grids. We're going to take out your oil, whatever." Iranians came back. "Hey, we got something special for you planned tonight." And of course, this will ruin all negotiations. Trump and then comes back and says, "Okay, we're going to hold off airstrikes and see what happens here." Of course, like I said, there's already been some chatter that aircraft are already on route into that area. So we'll see what happens with that. But I got a feeling that there's not there things aren't going to go anybody's way. So, and then what's the special surprise? In Tel Aviv, or was the special surprise what we saw today? Okay, is it what happened in Port Arthur? Was it a kind of a warning of what's to come? Don't know, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, Iran won't stop, and here's the reason why. These guys are in it for the long haul, and because Iran's tactic is this, okay, and is these guys, one, they can go underground and launch from underground for starters, but they're in it for the long haul, and they'll keep going until there's not one person alive left in Iran. They already know, Iran already knows that we can destroy their infrastructure, that we can come in and take out their oil. They already know that when it comes to air defense, we are very powerful. And they're planning on that. And that's what they want to do. They want to weaken our air defense. They want to weaken our stockpiles. They want to weaken the West. And so they'll take the hits. Okay, Iran will take the hits. What they want is a ground offensive. They want the world to send in ground troops because they know every crack, every crevice, every mountain, every cave that these guys can hide out in, and that's where they're really going to. That's where they're really going to come in and do the most damage. And so they're set up to absorb the shocks and to absorb the punishment that the West is bringing in, and they'll keep on absorbing it for as long as it takes for them to get the rest of the world to act in a combat way that they want. That's what they're waiting on. So they're not, the idea of taking out a power plant or taking out infrastructure that from what I understand, it does not bother them. It's not going to deter them. It's not going to change them. They've got things hidden in caves. They have a type of rock and foundations laid in that particular part of the world that even bunker busters can't even destroy. And when we saw this, when we went in the first time, and the word came out, "Hey, we took out all of your nuclear arms," and only to find out a couple weeks later that, we may not have gotten them all because they were hidden further underground that the bunker busters could not reach. And of course, that is alleged information. Of course, some of that was not confirmed, yet it wasn't denied either. So, but these guys are in for the long haul. Their objective is to weaken the West by any means necessary. And if that's absorbing, punishing blows after blows after blows, that's what they're going to do. And so you're not going to change them. And like we said, we just saw, they have portable missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonics that can reach over 2,500 miles. Who knows what else they've got? They have drones by quantities that are cheaply made that can get the job done, and it's costing us billions of dollars to destroy one drone that only costs them like $50,000 to make. And so you can kind of see where they have adopted their war strategy is to bleed the West of resources. So they're going to take the hits. Okay, just to let you know that they're going take the hits. That's their ideology, and taking them until there's not one person left alive in their area. And that it really is, in my opinion, that's kind of the definition of what we call a faith war. Okay. Um, we don't stop until there's not one person left. That's a faith war. And it's one of the most dangerous kind of wars. So at some point, we are going to have to pivot. At some point, if we get to that place, we will have to save face. And I think there are plans for that. I think that's where we see these disclosures coming in. We've been talking, they brought up here in the chat a little while ago about all these fireballs that have been falling all over the place. They've been especially across Dallas. I think there was one in Houston. Some of the coming out, and even NASA came out and said, "Hey, one of these fireballs actually isn't with the cluster. It's been coming in. Thing was something different." We see the government release documents and files, letting people know, "Hey, yeah, we're not alone." Visit, a new website coming out from the federal government that's going to release classified information about how we're not alone and how that we've been visiting these aliens, things like that. And so we can already see the pivot coming from this war. Of course, the Iranians aren't going to care; they're going to continue to do what they want to do over there. So it's going to be really interesting. And not a peaceful situation no matter what happens, but we will pivot away from this at some point. It's probably going to come in the form of a disclosure. That is my personal opinion. Okay. That is my personal opinion. I am not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm just watching what you guys are seeing, just giving you my 2 cents about everything that's happening. So, but we're in a world and it's changing fast, and we're heading at breakneck speed to these end times. And you know, when we see these things going around us, you have to know that Jesus Christ is coming quickly. He's coming back, uh, coming for a bride that's not broken. He's coming for a bride that's not blemished. He's coming for a bride that is whole, that is looking towards Him. And so we can't be caught up in sinful desires. We can't be caught up in our own selves. We can't be caught up in fear of the unknown. Things are going on around us. Um, we can't be caught up in a thing. And so when we see these things transpire, it's all signs. It's all signs of the return of Jesus Christ is imminent. It's coming. It's happening. We know that the Antichrist, in my personal opinion, is alive, is walking among us. Just the time of revealing hasn't happened yet. Our eyes have not been allowed to see who it is yet. We can throw names out there, of course. There's been candidates that people have talked about for years. I don't particularly try to do any of that on my end, because it's kind of useless to do that. And so, my personal opinion, however, you can definitely see the stage is being set. And my father-in-law always says this in our church. He's saying that what God is doing, that right now, is God is intentionally setting the stage in our world for the appearance of the Antichrist. And that's everything that's happening, even from what you're seeing in Iran today, even to the decisions that, like them or hate them, even to the decisions that Donald Trump is making, to the decisions that we're seeing in the United Nations, what we're seeing in the private sector and things happening around the world. Everything is being set, even the debt, okay, and our cryptocurrency and monetary systems and everything is being set. Even our technology, what we have with our phones and what we carry around, everything is being set on purpose for a perfect platform for the Antichrist to come, because the Lord will allow, the enemy will allow this man of perdition to rule and reign for 7 years on the planet. It's going to happen during that time for 7 years. It will. And it's being allowed. God is allowing these things to happen. And, you need to be ready for that. And so I know people have different theologies and different, ideology, when it comes to first pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, whatever it is. I don't get into those conversations too much anymore because it's one of those hot topics. But I will tell you this: no matter what you believe, and all three require the same response, and that is you be ready. You need to be ready to leave this world at a moment's notice. You need to be ready to handle some very difficult situations, or you need to be ready for straight survival. Either way, you need God to help you. You need the discernment from the Holy Spirit that somebody just put on their prayer discernment. You're going to need to be able to hear what the Spirit has to say and move when He tells you to move and do what He tells you to do. And most of all, you need to be in right standing with God no matter what happens. Your heart needs to be free and clear of sin. You can't be caught up in the desires and the things of the flesh. And right now, we're living in a time where the enemy has put trickery out there through social media, and has made sin very accessible and very easy, and has made a society where, matter of fact, not only is sin accessible, but it's celebrated. The moral decline is an expectation. Okay, doing what is right is wrong, and doing what is wrong is right, and that is end time prophecy, and those are the days that we live in. And so it's very easy to fall into these deceptions, and the deceptions are going to keep coming. And if you're not close to Christ now, there could be a time that comes where you may never get close, because you're going to get sucked in to the spiral of deception that's going to pull you further and further away. So hang on to the Lord, cling on to His word, be ready, have a peace that surpasses all understanding in your life. Make sure that all is well in your heart and in your soul tonight as we face these end times. Don't be scared. Don't freak out. The power goes out. All is well. If the oil stops flowing, all is well. If the stores run out of food, all is well. Okay. If we wake up and the United States is no longer the superpower of the world, all is well, because we as Christians, we know what comes next. We know that these things in this world are temporary, and we know what we are pursuing. We're pursuing the eternal. We're pursuing the eternal kingdom of our Lord. We're pursuing His lordship. And so everything else will fall away, and the elements of the world will eventually burn away. Okay. And so that's where we're at this evening. So don't be afraid. Just know all is well, and God will take care of you. Okay. God's not going to leave you, desert you. He's not going to keep you destitute, but the Lord will be with His children, and when the time is right, He will save His children. One way or the other, we're going to go home. Okay, one way or the other, we're going to go home. So John Van Bell says, Mike says to get a bug out bag ready. He says, get a comfy pair of walking shoes, because you will be walking and walking. So I don't mind. I actually love walking. So it says I'm getting too old to walk more than 4 blocks. You have to get somebody to we have to get an errand boy for you, or somebody to go and get things for you then. So that's right. Stay rapture ready. That's the best thing you can do. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for being on the channel this evening. Just a friendly reminder, we will be on tomorrow night for Pastor Talk at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with myself and my wife. We'll be on with you guys for a time of devotion, time of study, time of just conversation. You know, we have fun on Wednesday night. We step back and we step back and we kind of take a break from all this conversation that we had tonight, and we just focus on you. We focus on ministry. We focus on prayer. We focus on just helping you guys out. So that's what we do tonight there. Will there be a DE Studios talk tonight? Yes, there should be. And I just realized I probably didn't upload one. So as soon as I get off here, I'm going to post one tonight for you. So I do apologize. This past weekend was so super busy. We had alumni weekend at our school and projects at our church, and I mean, it just got away from me. So I will get that up and going for you guys this evening. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Please like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Check us out over on Patreon. Become a member over there. We would love to have you over there. We've got over 2,000 files from various places there. We'll be uploading some more here soon. Of course, we're on X, we're on Rumble, Facebook, DailyExcellence, and DE Studios. So we love to see you all here. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Remember, you may be the only Jesus. Someone sees this week. So please keep a smile on your face. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.